I had always trusted my wife, Melissa. We had been married for nearly a decade, shared a home, and raised a child together. From the outside, everything seemed perfect, but over the past months, subtle signs had begun to nag at me. Late nights at work, secretive messages, and vague explanations about her whereabouts. I tried to dismiss them, but deep down, I sensed something was wrong. The truth finally surfaced in a way I could never have imagined. Melissa had been having an affair with a colleague, Tom, for months. I discovered messages and photos that left no room for doubt. Shock, disbelief, and anger washed over me, but instead of reacting impulsively, I tried to process the situation and understand the depth of her betrayal. Then, unexpectedly, the consequences of her actions began to unfold in a way that neither of us could control. One morning, I received a call from a family friend, visibly distressed. They told me that Tom's wife, Laura, had confronted Melissa at her office. Laura had discovered the affair and decided to face Melissa directly, catching her completely off guard. When Laura arrived, she demanded the truth, holding Melissa accountable for her betrayal. Colleagues watched silently as the confrontation unfolded, tension and embarrassment hanging in the air. Melissa tried to explain, tried to deflect, but the reality of her infidelity was undeniable. The confrontation wasn't just emotional, it was public. Her secret, which she had managed to hide from me and others for months, was now laid bare in front of coworkers and peers. I wasn't present at the office that day, but hearing the account from multiple sources painted a vivid picture. Melissa's face had turned pale, words failing her as Laura expressed her anger, hurt, and disappointment. The atmosphere was tense, silent except for the sharp words exchanged. It was a moment of reckoning Melissa hadn't anticipated, and it exposed her in ways that her carefully maintained private life never had. The fallout from that confrontation was immediate. Word spread quickly through her workplace, colleagues whispered, and her reputation took a visible hit. Relationships she had nurtured for years were strained, trust was broken, and her standing within the office was irreparably damaged. Her affair partner's wife, seeking justice and accountability, had forced Melissa to face the consequences of her choices directly, in a public and unavoidable way. Meanwhile, at home, the revelation compounded the betrayal. I confronted Melissa with the evidence I had collected myself, confirming the messages, photos, and deception. She could no longer deny her actions. The confrontation at her office had already done what my private investigation alone could not: show the tangible and social consequences of her infidelity. I filed for divorce shortly after, realizing that the trust between us had been shattered beyond repair. Custody arrangements for our child were handled carefully to ensure their emotional well-being, and financial matters were addressed fairly but firmly. Melissa's deceit had consequences in every aspect of her life: personal, professional, and social, and she now had to face them fully. For my part, I focused on rebuilding stability in our child's life and in my own. Routine, emotional security, and support from friends and family became my priorities. I wanted to ensure that the betrayal did not define our child's upbringing or my future. Reflecting on the events, I realized the affair had consequences far beyond what Melissa could have imagined. Her choices hurt not just our marriage, but also the lives of everyone involved: Tom's wife, our child, and even her colleagues. The confrontation at her office, though painful, revealed the truth and forced accountability, underscoring that infidelity rarely stays hidden and that deception eventually comes to light. In the end, it was a sad and painful story of betrayal. Melissa's infidelity left emotional scars, professional damage, and fractured relationships, showing how quickly trust can be broken and lives altered. The lesson was harsh but clear. Deceit, no matter how carefully concealed, eventually emerges, leaving consequences in its wake.